There is a scene in the movie Dhurandhar where R. Madhavan's character, based on Ajit Doval, asked his subordinate in the early 2000s to keep the proofs about Pakistan printing fake Indian currency. Because the current administration won't do anything, but in the future, we would have a leader who would do something about it. And at the end of the movie, we have Ranveer Singh's voiceover that repeats the Uri dialogue, "Ye naya Hindustan hai, ye ghar mein ghusega bhi aur marega bhi." So the gallery Aditya Dhar wants to play this movie is for those who celebrates hyper-nationalism. And if your political sensitivity falls in that zone, the 3.5-hour duration of this movie might not be much of a task for you. Post the Kandahar hijacking and the infamous attacks on the parliament, IB Chief Ajay Sanyal's suggestion to create a long-term plan where we would send one of our men to infiltrate the underworld of Pakistan that practically funds all the terrorist activities gets approval from the External Affairs Minister. What you see in Dhurandhar is the journey of that spy from being an absolute nobody to an influential figure. Even if you ignore the whole soft propaganda that is running beneath the spy thriller, the film's writing lacks elements that would create intrigue. Aditya Dhar, who has written this film, is following the usual beats in world building, and the only thing that is helping him here is scale. The pale green-tinted, rugged outlook of Pakistan, somewhat similar to how Hollywood portrays Muslim countries, is giving this tougher outlook to the visuals. But when you look at the story's simplistic nature, you would realize all that technical glory is just peripheral decorations. Triggering the emotions of the audience is a filmmaking knack, and Aditya Dhar knows how to play with that. Even in Uri, he had changed the timelines of certain real incidents to cater to the audience who would love the ultimate triumph we see in that movie. Here, what he is trying to do is build a fictional character who is somewhat a witness to all the major terrorist attacks during the decade, followed by the Kandahar hijack. So at constant intervals, we are getting these flashes of the actual events like the Parliament attack 2611, which would sort of emotionally trigger the audience. There is a moment in the film where the entire screen is blood red, and in black letters, we hear what the terrorists actually said during the 2611 attacks. With handheld visuals and dull color palette, Aditya Dhar is transporting us into that gangster world. The production quality of the movie in terms of production design, combined with mostly fine visual effects, is actually helping the film have that intense feel. The gore is extreme in this movie, and at times it goes to an unnecessary level where the brutality reminded me of the kind of stuff we saw in Marco, where they are deliberately making scenes excessively barbaric for the shock value, as the story is outright cliché. The romance in the story is a burden to the film, and since the movie's duration is 3.5 hours, it works as an unintended loo break for many. Ranveer Singh, with his beefed up physique, long hair and intense voice, which reminded me of Ek Hi Rasta from Gully Boy, looks perfect for the role, and in the areas where he has to show a cold face, he's really good. But in some of the vulnerable bits, you could see the glimpses of the enthusiastic Ranveer. Akshay Khanna, with his typical chin-heavy facial expression, has that aura you associate with a leader. Sanjay Dutt is still in the hangover of his role from Baghi 4, and the heavy use of green screen backdrop in his intro sequence takes the joy out of it. Rakesh Bedi gets an extensive and important role with multiple shades, and he was good. R. Madhavan's Ajay Sanyal and Arjun Rampal's Major Iqbal will hopefully have more footage in part 2, which will release in March 2026. There is a dialogue in the movie where Rakesh Bedi's character tells our hero about the age gap between the lead pair. He reduces it to around 10, whereas in reality it is 20. Forget the real-world scenario. On screen, the screen age gap between these two is disturbingly huge. Maybe it will be the director's brilliance to show that all that is normal in Pakistan. The real Operation Layari that happened in Pakistan was planned by the Pakistan government to crack down the underworld there. Aditya Dhar's Dhurandhar is a patriotic fantasy where we look at the whole thing as some sort of masterstroke by India, which sent a dedicated infiltrator to that world to instigate everyone. If you can forget all the writing flaws of a film, if it offers jingoistic escapist pleasure along with some good amount of gore, this glorified Baghi might well work for you. That was my review of this movie. If you enjoyed watching this video, please give a like, and for more such content, please consider subscribing to this channel. Thank you.